Will indeed require an appropriate amount of investment. Our next discussant, Mr. Kairos dela Cruz, is the Deputy Executive Director of the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities. He also heads ICSC's Climate Finance team. Over to you, Mr. dela Cruz.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Before anything else, I would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Lasco, Dr. Pulhin, Dr. Rosa, to the organizers, and to the rest of the discussants. Thank you for your contributions and deep, deep love for a better future. The report cited the way fragmented governance, lack of mainstreaming between climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction is making our already dire situation even worse. Whoever wins in May needs to put the climate crisis at the very top of their priorities with verifiable means to measure the way resilience is established at the heart of our macroeconomic fundamentals. Using GDP and productivity alone will no longer suffice and will only make us more vulnerable as the pandemic's impact continues to demonstrate. The climate crisis does not recognize electoral cycles. Along with planning horizons stretching way beyond the flawed medium-term cycles, adaptation measures need to be in place in all sectors of the economy for the long haul. The IPCC report tells us we need to confront the way warming oceans can supercharge any of the 20 typhoons that enter the Philippines area of responsibility annually, and the way rising temperatures adversely affect agriculture and human health, and how it links to other aspects of development, such as migration and our long-term development strategy that would allow us to thrive and not just survive. It's also time to localize the IPCC reports, given the country's archipelagic context. Climate change impacts are locally specific and vary from place to place, and we need local scientists now more than ever to generate more new research as well as validate, interact, and contribute to the global scientific effort. The AR6 Working Group report reaffirms what Filipino scientists have been saying all along. Climate change should be comprehensively incorporated in development planning to better manage risk and select the most responsive adaptation approaches. Climate-smart agriculture and agricultural insurance, for example, protects our farmers and crops from potential damages due to the impacts of intense storms, extreme heat, and other socioeconomic losses. But we need to have a way of coordinating this. Our national adaptation plan, which I think is still on its way, and our NDC, which in terms of implementation has to be firmed up, could be the next steps that we need. The report affirms the reality we have long raised. Current levels of climate finance are grossly insufficient, and the little that is mobilized still largely goes to mitigation, to greenhouse gas mitigation. The Philippines need to raise its voice on the inadequacy of finance, even more and even as it sets its place accountability mechanisms that demonstrate effective, efficient, and transparent use of scarce climate change resources. We have yet to utilize our existing climate financial flows, which is estimated to be around somewhere between $5 billion US. Financial instruments such as climate and disaster risk finance and insurance instruments will play an important role in plugging some of the gaps that our climate frontliners, the local governments and communities have to deal with every day. Lastly, we think that despite the daunting realities presented in this report, the report also sets a stage for stronger collaboration, especially among vulnerable countries through South-South collaborations. Recently, ICSC's Recharge Filipinas team, our renewable energy theory to practice team from Tacloban, trained volunteers from Fiji under the program Solar Scholars. This program underscores our belief that harnessing solar and other renewable energy is not just a means of climate change mitigation. It must be considered an integral part of humanitarian response and even long-term development planning. Even more so, the Solar Scholars training across the Pacific is the testament that vulnerable communities and countries share more than what they recognize. The same could be said for regional work on risk transfer mechanisms and CDRFI, or sharing the processes and approaches on mobilizing and accounting for climate finance. The report is clear on what we are up against. The science is non-negotiable. Inaction is not an option, the cost of inaction far outweighs the cost of investment and innovations. And ultimately, all of us has our own roles to play in finding the solutions. Thank you and stay safe.